jazz harmony and jazz theory,
Oh, yeah.
which I never learned. So I'm trying to educate myself late in life on involving all of the jazz.
Hi, my name is Nicola Beckler. I'm the editor of the OPERAnauts Behind the Curtain quarterly update. I'm coming to you via the amphitheater in Princeton's Petronella Garden Park. Today with Craig Levesque, composer and arranger.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So today you've been really successful as a composer and an arranger. You've done a lot of great work for OPERAnauts as well, but going back to your childhood or your formative years, do you think there was an exact moment that you realized that composing and arranging was something you wanted to do?
I first became interested in composing and arranging when I was in high school, and I was very involved in my high school band program, and it was really the only class and the only subject that I felt that I was successful in and good in. And I was very fortunate we had a strong band program and one that was very supportive, and it was the only place in school that I really felt where I was really successful and succeeding. And so as a result, I kept spending more and more time being involved in the program. My high school band teacher at the time was a great influence, and when he saw my interest, he gave me more and more opportunities. He gave me some opportunities to write some things first for the concert band and for the marching band. And the more that I did this, the more I realized that it was something I really liked to do. And again, the more success I had, the more it fueled into it. So I was very lucky in that I was in a place that had a strong music program, and I had a very supportive teacher who saw my interest and helped push it and help guide it. So by the time I was probably a junior in high school, I really knew that I wanted to do something in music. Initially, I thought I wanted to be a music teacher. In fact, my undergraduate degree is in both music education and in composition. But the older I got and the more I got into it, the more I realized that my real love was in the crafting and the building of things.
So then, once you did get into composing and arranging, what was it that eventually brought you to OPERAnauts to arrange the opera Carmen into La Petite Carmen?
Well, what I love about the whole project is bringing this music to the people where it's needed and where it can be used most. You know, there's a lot of people who could use a little more music, a little more opera in their lives, and it's very difficult to get them to a place necessarily where they can see it. And one of the things I love about this whole project is the way that we're being proactive about these things. We're not sitting back and saying, how can we get, we're not trying to build a music hall. We're saying these people could use access to this material. How do we get it to them? How do we make it so they can do it themselves with the resources they have? The idea of doing chamber music with voice and basing it on opera or other art songs is a great one because it lets you take some of these big productions and do them at a smaller, more local level. It's the idea of taking something that is large and unwieldy and needs an orchestra and costumes and productions and putting it in a form that can be taken on the road, that can be done in an amphitheater like this one with just a small group of people, which of course makes it much more accessible.
The unique color and the clarity is what led you to the orchestral choices that you did make for La Petite Carmen.
Right, in a lot of ways, because there are simply some melodies in there that have to be played on oboe, for example. It just doesn't sound right. And again, that's different than how things were 200 years earlier, when the melodies, in part because the instruments were so much less developed, weren't as distinctive for those instruments. So when you're arranging something that's closer to the more modern times, the more modern instruments, the more you have to try and recreate faithfully what their original choices were. So when you're arranging, especially more modern music, you've got to really try and keep the feel of those instruments as close as possible.
So now the OPERAnauts' vision is to create a sustainable annual opera music festival in Congo that promotes peace and disrupts the cycle of violence. So what do you think it is about that vision that attracted you in the first place, that spoke to you?
So I love the fact that we're looking at this problem and saying, we know one of the solutions is to create this artistic interplay, to create these artistic events. So how can we create artistic materials that can enable them to do that, and that can enable that to go off? And so that's really what attracted me about the vision. It's not only the part of it is the social aspect of it and the moral aspect of it, for lack of a better term. And then part of it, frankly, is sort of the engineering aspect of it. It's also, as a composer, fun for me to look at that as a challenge and to say, how do I make this work? How can I shrink this and move this over there? So it appeals to both sides to me, the emotional side, which knows that this is a great cause, and also the intellectual side, which says it's really fun to try and make something like this work and have it be challenging and have it still be effective in the end.
Well, thank you very much for a great conversation.
You're very welcome.